2000. We could have roll call, please.
Commissioner Prickett.
Here.
Commissioner Wilcox.
Will not be here this evening.
Commissioner Leamy.
Will not be here this evening.
Commissioner Allen.
Here.
Commissioner Andrews.
Here.
And Chair Stephenson.
Here. And before we do Pledge Allegiance, I would just like to acknowledge that longtime Planning Commissioner Marufo Idilla passed away on April 6th of this year. And he served many years on this body, owned a business in Texas, and he will be sorely missed. And at the end of Pledge Allegiance, I'd like to have a moment of silence to honor Marv. At this time, I'd like to ask everyone to stand for the Pledge Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, is there anyone wishing to speak to the Planning Commission this evening on a non-agenda item? Come on forward, sir.
You all know me, but for the record, Adrian Hester, Southwest 4th Street. I am curious to know, or to ask for, I guess, any updates that either staff or commission have on the home forward process. Since the last updates, there really hasn't been much information disseminated to the general public or to neighbors. The last I heard, there was some indication that the submitted type 2 application may be upgraded to a type 3 by city council. I haven't really heard anything much beyond that since. It was mostly just an inquiry of curiosity as a concerned neighbor and person interested in the doings of the area that's due about what may or may not be going on. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to testify or speak to the Planning Commission on a non-agenda item this evening? Okay. And Alex, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great.
So the home forward application is going to be run as a type 2. I know there was discussion at City Council about elevating it to a type 3. So we went ahead and still ran it as a type 2. Notices should have went out to adjacent property owners in the last day or two. So you should be getting a letter in the mail if you're within the 250 feet of the subject property. The deadline for the notice of decision, I believe, is sometime in mid-May. So 45 days after the application was deemed complete, the beginning of this month. And you'll have an opportunity to provide comment if you follow the directions on the notice itself and send an email or a letter to us.
Just for clarification, if you testified at the last hearing, you would get notified too, correct?
This is a new application, so it starts over.
It's de novo.
Mm-hmm, correct.
Okay.
I'm within the boundary anyway.
You are.
Across the street.
Okay. Great. Just want to make sure you were covered there. And the notice for comments is
I can.
the deadline for notice for comments.
April 25th.
April 25th. Okay. All right. And tonight we have case file LU 0021-2022 Sweetbriar Hideaway. This is a continuation of the public hearing that was held in December of 2022. And this one is for a subdivision plat. So this is a modification. And before we open the public hearing, I'd like to explain a little bit about the Planning Commission and the procedure that we'll be following for the public hearing this evening. The The Planning Commission is an appointed 7-member volunteer body of Troutdale citizens. Members of the Planning Commission are Troutdale residents who've been appointed by the City Council. They serve 4-year terms. They are strictly volunteers and receive no pay for their services. The Planning Commission serves as a citizen committee for the review of land use application and various land use related matters within the city. Items which the Planning Commission consider include uses of land, subdivisions, major variances, land use policy plans, and development regulations. For some land use applications, the Planning Commission makes a final decision. For other applications, they simply are making a recommendation to the City Council, who renders the final decision. Tonight is a Type 3 quasi-judicial hearing, and the Planning Commission will be the deciding body. And quasi-judicial public hearings are held in accordance with Oregon law and procedures contained in the Troutdale Development Code. The hearing proceeds as follows. City staff present their report, which includes applicable criteria and standards for the matter under consideration in the land use application. All testimony and evidence should be directed towards these criteria. If you believe that other criteria in the Comprehensive Plan, Development Code, or other city land use regulations apply, you must identify these criteria and explain why they apply to the decision. The Planning Commission accepts public testimony relating to the application. The applicant is allowed to speak first, followed by proponents, then followed by opponents, and then by any parties neutral to the application. An opportunity will be provided to anyone testifying to clarify any issues raised. All issues raised by a participant during the public hearing must be sufficiently clear and specific to allow the Planning Commission and other parties an opportunity to respond to those issues. Failure to raise an issue during this public hearing may invalidate appeal based on that issue. Prior to closing the public hearing, any participant may request an opportunity to present additional evidence or testimony regarding the application. The Planning Commission must grant the request either by continuing the public hearing to a future date or by leaving the record open for at least 7 days to admit only that specific additional written evidence or testimony. If the record is left open for the additional written evidence or testimony, any participant may file a written request for an opportunity to respond to new evidence submitted during the period that the record was left open. If such a request is filed, the Planning Commission shall reopen the record to allow any person to raise new issues which relate to the new evidence, testimony, or criteria for decision-making. And for tonight, the criteria that we'll be working from will be Section 3.11, Section 5.70, Section 5.80, Chapter 9, Chapter 11, Chapter 17 of the Troutdale Development Code. As a final note, these recordings are televised and recorded, and if you wish to speak this evening, we'd ask that you fill out a testimony card. Please come up to the table and speak clearly so that your comments can be captured by the record. And if you are speaking this evening, if you could limit your comments to about 5 minutes, that would be very much appreciated so that everyone has a chance to be heard this evening. And before we open the public hearing, anyone have any ex parte contact, conflict of interest, or anything to declare? No? No? No bias? No nothing? Okay, we're all good. All right, with that, we will go ahead and open case file LU 00212022, Sweetbriar Hideaway.
Good evening, commissioners, members of the public. The item before you is the Sweetbriar Hideaway subdivision proposal. This is a continued item from the December 14th, 2022 meeting date. This is a map of the location for the proposed subdivision as outlined in yellow, located at 27510 Southeast Sweetbriar Road. What is being requested is a subdivision plat to subdivide the one existing tax lot into 7 tax lots. What is not being requested is a zoning change. The zoning will remain as low density residential 1. And here's a map of the proposed subdivision. You can see that lot 1 will access from an existing cul-de-sac in the adjacent neighborhood, whereas lots 2 and 3, as well as 4 through 7, are going to be accessed off of a private drive directly onto Sweetbriar Road, which is a county right-of-way. As mentioned earlier, here's some of the applicable criteria for this application. It's a type 3 procedure. Planning Commission is the decision-making entity for these application types. Notifications for the agencies were provided to the City of Troutdale Public Works, Mid-County Lighting, as well as Multnomah County Transportation. The City of Troutdale Public Works has provided comments that has suggested with conditions the project is approvable. So there are 13 different criteria points for a subdivision plat here in the city. Previously at the first meeting, staff had found that the application did not meet the criteria points for erosion control, surface drainage, sewerage facilities, connectivity, and utilities. With the new submittal and the new documents provided to you all, as you can tell with the comments from Public Works, the applicant has provided additional documents and within their narrative has addressed how the new application will meet the above 5 points. Therefore, staff has updated our recommendation to approval with conditions. So here's just another map of the subject property, and the red lines are showing the future connectivity between Southeast Sweetbriar Lane north to south and then Southeast 46th Ave from east to west. This was one of the points that the application previously did not address that connectivity, but the applicant has since provided documents that demonstrate that the connectivity from Southeast 46th can continue westward and not impede on the project. Here's a closer image here on one of the plots provided with the red arrow showing where the connection from Southeast 46th can actually bend slightly through that project. And the applicant will have to provide an easement to allow that right-of-way to continue westward to Southeast Sweetbriar Lane. This is all new material that was not included in the previous submittal, and this is probably the reason that we recommended denial initially, but now that they are accommodating for that right-of-way, while also allowing that lot to maintain at least a 10,000 square foot minimum as required for the zoning district, we have recommended approval on this item. And just staff recommends approval of LU 0021-2022. That's all I have.
Okay. Questions for staff? Okay. So the way this is working out, there won't be a half street improvement at this time?
Not currently, no. The property directly to the south where Southeast 46 would go is actually unincorporated still. So that property would need to annex into the city before any development could occur. So all of those properties, the 2 lots to the south, aren't going to be accessed off of 46. So they're not going to do any type of improvement.
On 46?
Yeah, because it'll be essentially for the rear of those properties and not to access off of it.
Okay, and no access off 46 for these properties?
Correct.
Not even for fire?
I believe that all access is going to be coming from that private drive. At the time when 46 does come to play, I believe that they probably will have some type of an access through the facility because there will be still that private easement that goes all the way south to 46th. So I think that the fire would definitely have an opportunity to still access from the southern side of the property.
All right.
Do you know if there'll be any remonstrance or bonding or anything to cover any improvements that need to be done?
I'm not sure, not aware.
Okay. And then just a comment on the, in your packet, the engineering report from Mr. Holton.
Mm-hmm.
It indicates there's 4 pages and there's actually 3. It kind of ends abruptly with condition 5, and that's actually the end of the report. Just saying, because I was looking for page 4 and I couldn't find it, and I figured out there wasn't one, so I was just trying to save you guys the headache.
I think the 4th page that we got was blank. There wasn't anything on the 4th page, so I just eliminated it.
No, it's fine, it's fine. I'm just like, where's the 4th page? I can't find it. And then the other comment to just make is we have a comment on AAA letterhead. from a Dave Lear regarding the development. And I think just for a point of clarification, it's not from AAA, it's from David Lear.
That's all I have for you.
That's it?
Yeah.
You're easy, okay. Okay, no other questions for staff?
Not this time.
All right, at this time, we would invite the applicant to come forward.
Yes, Rick Young,
Okay.
I'm here.
And your address?
It is 11101 Southeast 362nd, Warren, Oregon.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay. Go ahead, is there anything you want to,
Other than, what I stated last time, there's really nothing more to add other than you're 100% correct. We have allowed for the allowance of 46 to come through by creating an easement, and that will be recorded on the final plat. And I don't know that those homes on the south side of the subdivision will ever even want to connect to 46 at that point, because they'll have a private drive. Their house will be turned such that it, allows that. So I don't think that that's ever going to be a problem at that point. All the zoning requirements for 10,000 square feet are met. Like you said, Lillian has dedicated that property to the city and has been paying taxes, so she should be able to qualify for what would be a legal subdivision based on where she's at with the property. And we've accessed just one lot into Berry Circle Court, which last time everybody was under the impression the whole subdivision was going to be accessed into that circle, which would have been devastating. I can see their concern. So this is really a pretty minimal impact. In the corner of Sweetbriar, the way that this private drive comes down and connects, man, they've got a view from left to right. For safety, it's like a great entrance for those additional homes. It's not going to be a blind corner or a hump or a hill or anything, and we've addressed the PGE regarding the power, talked to the fire department regarding the water flow. There's no hang up at this point. The biggest concern we'll address is the soil and where the water's going to go. If we're creating 4 new homes in that southerly portion, then you've got roofs that are going to drain into a private container, so to speak, to hold the water. Is that going to work? So we're hiring a soil analysis to do the check on that, and if it's not going to absorb the water based on the rate that it needs to, then we'll figure out the proper way to control water. And currently the city has a dry well at the base of the entrance of all this, where it connects to
the storm system?
there's a catch basin there right now. It's in the middle of Mr. Miller's driveway. I don't know whether that's going to be able to figure into the consumption of the water or not, but it's working. That's all I can say. Yeah. And if there's any other concerns, I'm happy to address them, so.
I was gonna say, I think visibility is important. That road, I swear, people try to test out their rack and pinion steering going around those S curves, and
Yeah,
a third of them end up in people's yards half the time.
it's such a big area right there. When they changed that road to make a nice sweeping turn from the hard left-hand turn it had going in there, it's just created a ton of space and visibility. It's a nice entrance. So, and the apron right now, the concrete apron is 30 feet wide. I mean, it's a cut curb and the leveled area that's already 30 feet wide on the corner. So, and the fire hydrant's just 100 feet up from the corner, so it's right there.
Was it 2017 when this got annexed in?
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you would know. When did you annex into the city?
Yeah, I think I started in 2016.
2016.
Thinking, yeah, because I was thinking for us, it was like 2017 that we
It might have been
heard that
when
one.
I finished.
Any questions for the applicant?
Not really. Seems pretty straightforward. There was just comment, there's a bit of awkwardness to it due to the challenges of the property, but we've done similar things elsewhere in the city, so it seemed reasonable to me.
I don't have any questions at this time. I think the one public comment that was addressing the cul-de-sac issue didn't, maybe if there's been changes since then, or didn't clearly understand that it seems like that property that's off of the cul-de-sac has that sole access through the cul-de-sac and not through the rest of the properties. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so it's no different than any other normal cul-de-sac, which is the concern, so thanks for clarifying.
And you did address the water issue. That was my biggest concern, was that the water flow from those houses into the property.
Right.
But you're looking into that, and that's all I was concerned with. And whether the fire department has actual access in to all those homes. That was the,
Yeah, they will with the legal hammerhead turnaround.
okay,
Yeah. So,
that answered my concerns.
Okay. All right, thank you, sir.
all right, thank you.
Okay, anyone wishing to testify as a proponent to the Sandy Glanz.
I can take it.
Hi. Are you a proponent?
Mostly, yes.
Okay.
And I wanted to say that I really appreciate that they kept these at 10,000 square feet instead of trying to, not be matching the neighborhoods on both sides of them. I appreciate that. And I can also, I'm here tonight speaking as a homeowner. I'm on lot 6 in the Berryland, which would be lot 6, the southern side of this development. And I can tell you where that water sits, and there's like 23 feet there, it shows on the map. The water stops at about the 12-foot mark, so it doesn't quite go into there. I'm very familiar with the backside of that. The only question I really have is where they show the street 46th coming in, as I look out my window, doesn't match what I see on the map. And I don't know if that's some kind of weird optical illusion. I know my address is 4450. And so I would have 46th to my south. That doesn't seems like some of those numbers are pretty screwed up. And I'm not sure that I see the same. Like I said, when I look out the window and where I see the Miller's property, which is the unincorporated property to the south, some of that doesn't line up with what I see on the map.
I can share my screen if you'd like.
Yeah, you came up with those numbers, right?
Okay, this is the current map that we're showing here that shows that the property currently kind of comes almost to the half point of that southeast 46 right away. So it's gonna come down and curve here, follow along this edge, and then curve again south, just south of your property. And then it should connect with southeast Sweetbriar Lane. Like I had said before, any of these potential street connections have to occur after that property has been annexed into the city, which, it's not anticipated anytime soon. So, but that's where we got those, that figure from.
And this looks aerial, so maybe it is just an optical illusion. Because it looks like it goes further, that the road inlet is further to the north.
Yeah,
And
this the
at the
area
south
maybe plus or minus a foot of, off on the aerial imagery itself, but yeah, it's pretty accurate.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to testify as a proponent to the application? Anyone wishing to testify as an opponent to the application? Any neutral parties wishing to testify?
Dave Lear.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Staff. Thank you for your time. Dave Lear, I live at 4411 Southeast Sweetbriar Lane, Great Atlantic States. Cul-de-sac that would come out right in front of my house. For those of you who've been around for a while, we'll give you a little history of that area. I built my house in 2002, our R10 lot, and all the lots around me were to be R10. And one of the reasons I built my living room window looking out to the west, and city council caved in 2006 and built 5,000 square foot lots behind my house. So every morning I open up my windows and I look at a house 20 feet from my back window. So my point in this development is great to see R10 lots. Too bad we couldn't have kept that R10 alive like it was originally intended when I decided to build here. I didn't have to build here, but I chose to. I still have a concern about the one lot coming into the cul-de-sac. You know, we don't have a lot of parks in our area. It's one place where our children and our grandkids play. There are already excessive cars that do park in that cul-de-sac, and who knows how many cars that one home will have. There's plenty of room in this subdivision to go to 7,500 square foot lots and move one so it all exits out the proposed egress. And that's my recommendation, is keep the cul-de-sac whole as is, because I don't need another 10 cars. We can't control how many cars are going to be at a house. And that is the only place we have for our children and grandchildren to play. And that's all I ask after I lost out on the R10 lots behind my house.
I just want to follow up on the R10.
Yep.
Are you aware that now presently all of the zoning's been changed?
To R10?
No, the state has basically mandated that we do away with R10, R7.
Yeah, but it wasn't in 2006.
Right, but now it's been done, and actually, if someone develops, let's say someone developed next to you, they could actually put 4 units.
Yeah,
On
I'm
lot
fine with
today.
4 units and support low density as long as it goes out. the
No,
proposed-
4 units per lot.
Yeah.
You'd be okay with that?
Yeah,
Okay,
as long as the egress is out, the intended egress.
okay. All right, any questions? No? Okay, thank you, sir. Any other neutral parties wishing to speak this evening? No? Okay, not seeing any online. Okay, motion to close.
I move that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, public hearing is closed. All right. You okay with the conditions as presented?
Correct, yes.
Okay. Public Works, Mr. Holton, any changes to your conditions? Are you okay?
Good evening, Commissioner Stephenson. No, no changes for Public Works.
Okay. That's okay. All right. Do you think this is an improvement over the previous application?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I want to recognize that. But we have met the street standards for the cul-de-sac and for the private drive. Okay. Any changes? Any challenges, commissioners? No,
It's pretty straightforward.
let's just go.
How do you want to do this? Do you want to do it by?
Yeah, we would do, let's do conditions first. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Prickett,
I move that we approve conditions of approval as written by staff.
One second.
okay, we have a motion and a second to approve conditions of approval as written for case file LU-0021-2022 Sweetbriar Hideaway. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, Mr. Lopez.
Commissioner Andrews,
Yes.
Commissioner Prickett,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen,
Yes.
and Chair Stephenson.
Yes. Okay, that passes.
You want to do the findings of fact and final order
Yeah.
separately or together?
We can do findings and final order separately,
That's fine.
or separately. Do we do them together?
We can.
You
I
want them
think-
separate?
Typically we do the conditions and then the final order and findings as one. We can
Yeah.
do that way.
Do you want to do them as one?
Yeah, do findings and findings of fact, final order.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the findings of fact and final order as written by staff.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second for approval of case file LU-0021-2022 Sweetbriar Hideaway, finding of fact and final order as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, Mr. Lopez.
Commissioner Andrews,
Yes.
Commissioner Prickett,
Yes.
Commissioner Allen,
Yes.
and Chair Stephenson.
Yes. Passes. Need a wraparound? Are you good?
That's good.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now, on to the next item of business. What are you doing up there?
No chair.
What's that? He does. Okay, I think before we do staff communications, do you want to go over the parks plan? Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So did everyone receive comments on the parks plan?
How do you mean?
There was an email sent out?
Oh, got it, yeah.
Okay, and do you have any comments or changes to those recommendations?
I do not.
Okay.
I will say, I guess I have a comment on that too, just in light of the comment that was made earlier about parks in the area. That is definitely, as written currently, a part of the Parks Master Plan going forward is addressing the need for a park in that area specifically, so. That is something on the horizon as far as kind of being able to fill that need, just to kind of maybe put your mind at ease a little bit more when it comes to families in the area and that sort of thing, being able to take advantage of a park. So.
It's a high priority,
It is.
actually.
And if I can add that lot one is fairly deep, so that house will be, not pushed right out on the curb, so the parking on a longer driveway will help cul-de-sac too.
Okay. Parks plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
For some reason, I think we're missing something somewhere, but I'm not sure where.
Okay, we have the changes, we don't have the master document again, is that what you're?
No, I have a master document, but I don't have I have the old document that we had before us the last time.
I think that's the only one that exists, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the one to work from. Do we need a break before we do that, or are we good?
Let's go for it.
Go for the break or go for?
Either one, I don't care.
Okay, why don't we take 5 so that we can
Yeah, let's.
get ourselves organized?
Yeah.
That'd be okay, we'll be in recess for until 7:45.
Okay.
Okay, back in session. And we are reviewing the Parks Master Plan. And these are the comments submitted that we received from staff from the prior review of the plan. And we're to go through these, and then these are given to the Parks Advisory Committee. And so looking at these, is there anything prior to page 10? I think so. Okay, and on page 10, is this accurate? Is this okay?
Yes.
Okay, no issues there. Then we move on to 17, unless there's something between there. I did bring this up and I had a question with this. The target increase of 30% more canopy.
Love it.
How do you do it?
That's for the Parks Advisory Committee to work on as far as where, conjunction with staff. I think it's a good target. I mean, between all the green spaces we have, in addition to whatever, public roadside greenways we have along streets, increasing green streets, any kind of creative solution to stormwater, construction that goes on as we continue to build out. I mean, we'll figure it out. If we don't hit it, that's okay, but it's a good target, I think.
I think the red comment to me says it all, that the Parks Advisory Committee will be looking at species, so they'll be looking at species with broader canopies that sort of approach, and then they'll do research with staff to say what trees have a canopy that can get you at 30%. I'm not an arborist, so I don't know, but it's a very reasonable question to figure out trees that have a drip line or a canopy that does X.
And we do have that guide to help.
Right, so the question would be where, for me, was where are we doing this at?
Okay.
Tree canopy through street tree planting and park tree planting events. But it's like, is it streets? Is it parks? Is it open spaces? Where?
Yeah, well, I like the idea that it's target instead of being mandated, because, you wouldn't want to put a tree right in the middle of the soccer field. And
You
sometimes what you see is when there's forced density, they put the trees too close to each other. And, favors some bird life, disadvantages other bird life, but, there's a point there where you start to get kind of silly.
Right.
So as long as good judgment is used, I'm good.
And with, park superintendent essentially working with the Parks Advisory Committee to kind of come to those conclusions, I think that's a reasonable way to go on it. When it comes to, for me, it keeps coming back to all the polls that came back, the studies that are done, essentially what the citizens that did respond, citizens of Troutdale did respond to in regards to prioritizing what they want, and that was one of them. Essentially, is more trees, more tree coverage. So falling in line with that, utilizing the guides, working with the superintendent.
Right, so I'm just trying to, I'm gonna call on Mr. Holton here since he's got his hand up. Travis Holton.
Thank you, Commissioner Stephenson. Yeah, I think I could offer a little help on this. There were a few possibilities thrown out there: street trees, green spaces, parks. Where are these going to go? And I think the answer is all of the above. This is a great thing to have in our Parks Master Plan because it will inform the street tree plan that we certainly hope and intend to complete in the future. So this gives us a good starting point as a target for that plan to aim at. And that plan will look at the tree canopy in the city, where we have areas that need more tree canopy, including streets, including green spaces, including parks, and how we can, and that'll sort of give us a target to shoot at in that plan, overall for the city.
Okay, and I guess one I was thinking about in particular would be like the confluence. If we were trying to do a 30% canopy down there, that would be a significant impact on that development.
Yeah, I don't think the intent is for it to be 30% on a property by property basis or street by street basis. It's a 30% overall. So we have green spaces and parks that have more than 30%, and we're gonna have other areas that have less than 30%. And the intent there is for the city as a whole to achieve that 30% cover.
Okay, so we're saying in here an increase of 30% more. Should we say?
Excuse me, an increase. Sorry, I don't have that particular page in front of me, but
are we trying to get to 30%? Is that kind of the goal? Is that kind of where would that be a good place to be?
You mean 30% increase over what's currently citywide, or?
Well, it says increase, like what Travis is talking about is like you have some areas that are over 30 and some that are under, and this kind of says an increase of 30. Should it be an increase to 30?
No, I read it as 30% more over what we currently have.
Yeah.
So not taking the entire square miles of Troutdale and taking out 30%. It's just 30% more than what we currently have.
Yeah.
And we do have a baseline. We just completed our street tree inventory. We have other canopy inventories from our GIS and our aerial photography that we can establish a baseline. And whether, the specific 30% number, I don't have a lot of background on how that was arrived at, the 30% increase. But what I can say is that having that in the plan is extremely helpful, because that will feed into a future street tree plan and will establish what the goal of that plan will be.
Right. So Zach, where is it at now? Where did you guys work from? Like, you're thinking the canopy is like 8% or 22%, or what did you come with today where we're going plus 30 would put us where,
That was based off of, it's my understanding that it was based off of our consulting team that was putting the research based on our, like, the square footage of our park, how, the square footage of the tree coverage. I think it's just a general idea of increasing it by that amount. I don't know exactly what the percentage of tree coverage is across the city. I couldn't tell you that, but that's, like, to Travis's point, I think that's kind of the idea, is to basically put that as a guideline going forward, that we just want to increase it by that amount on what's existing currently.
Okay.
Chair Stephenson.
Hey, Commissioner Nolan.
Yeah, we're always considering unintended consequences, right? So I am fine with this as far as I can tell from looking at the aerial, but just don't put it in the middle of my ball field, right?
Commissioner Prickett?
Do you want to rephrase that then? To say the target an increase of 30% more tree canopy
Over existing,
over the existing?
Increase of 30%.
A target meeting 30%. Because if you look at it, the way I would read it, if I was reading this as an applicant, it would sound like I'd have to, my target would be 30%.
I mean, I feel like that'd be, I mean, I feel like it's redundant at this,
Right.
or that would be redundant.
I thought, was climate friendly, was that 20%? Or do you guys remember?
For the street trees and the parking lots and things like that.
Yeah, was it 20?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
That sounds low to me. I mean,
20, okay.
It does sound low to me. If you think about the size of the parking lot, given what the purpose of the trees are for.
I was just wondering if they're close, I'd like to try to see us line them up maybe, just for an ease of operation.
But to Commissioner's point, I think it's a city-wide thing as opposed to a site-by-site thing. So I mean, again, I think it's, if I'm hearing everybody correctly, hearing Travis correctly, it's how do we move towards more canopy, which is,
More than what we have.
I would, more than what we have, yeah,
Right.
and good overall citywide.
Right.
I mean, can't think of a good reason not to be a proponent of more tree canopy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe 30% more tree canopy coverage throughout the city. Would that be all right?
yeah.
We can bring, what we're gonna do is we'll take your comments under consideration and then I will share them with
Yeah.
our consultant tomorrow, so if you can add that, Alex.
Okay.
And then, we could, Zach's here and there and we can go through it and they can decide what they think is best.
Would something like that be okay, just for clarification?
As far as like adding citywide or
Yeah.
something, I can't imagine they'd have an issue with it, but yeah, they definitely discuss it.
Okay. And so moving on, 21, we talked about the sale of property going to parks.
Skipped 18.
Oh, I'm sorry. There we just clarified connecting to underserved areas.
If I remember correctly, I thought we were simply adding that onto it rather than taking away. I believe that's what we decided. There were two areas, I think, that we just basically wanted to make sure that they were aligned and wanted to add underserved areas to make sure that it was all encompassing, essentially. That's how I remember it.
Frankly, it's how I remember it, and I know that the consultant put it in differently, but I remember it as an add, so.
Right.
And I think we had two of them, and I think we did this first, and then we came to the second one, if I'm thinking of it correctly.
You are
Exactly.
correct, and
It
so I
was-
was expecting to see the other one here, and I don't, so
Right.
like, the comment will be,
Flip it.
well, the comment will be to have it in both places, we just need to find where that other place is, does that make sense?
Yeah, it's early on, it's in one of the first pages.
Okay, so Alex, do you understand the comment?
You're right.
So
yeah.
we're,
I think that's what I
stuff
remember.
that's crossed out
Mhm.
shouldn't be crossed out. It's an add, and then the comment should be, so keep the original text plus within connecting an underserved area is how it should read, and it's also mentioned somewhere else, so we need to find it. And Tanny's saying, Chair Stapleton's saying it's up front. I can't remember, but hopefully it was the same quote in two places, that I surely
Right.
remember. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Okay, so moving along, we've got 21. I think those are good. And then we get to 25, and you guys gotta, I need some help here. This one I was confused on. Cherry Ridge and 257. Do we have a Cherry Ridge street?
Yeah, it should be Cherry Park. not Cherry Ridge.
Yeah, I don't think we have a Cherry Ridge Street.
No, it's Cherry Park, and there's
It's a
two,
Cherry Ridge neighborhood.
right.
The
there's a
Cherry Ridge neighborhood,
But it's not on 257.
Right.
now, okay, so when I looked at this, right, we've got the Cherry Ridge Apartments, which I think are considered a little lower income. So I think, isn't that one of them that they're talking about when they talk about areas with significant density and lower income?
Yeah.
But that's really the only one in that area. And it has significant density, but almost, and we're talking about it being out of the park watershed, or walkshed, and the walkshed's half a mile, and it's actually less than half a mile from the Cherry Ridge Apartments to Imagination Station.
Right. Yeah, I think, let's see, area, so it's basically saying the area above that, I think. So almost like Halsey was the area that it was referencing. On the map, that's what
Okay,
it was showing.
north of that.
Correct.
Okay,
I believe, if I remember correctly with the maps, like the layout and everything, it was having a circle above that even, towards like Halsey. It's in between there and Halsey,
It's kind of like,
as an understood area.
we're like south of, this is the neighborhood right here.
so northwest of Cherry Park and 257.
Right.
Yeah, we're down.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So northwest of Cherry Park and 257.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was, you know where the old Safeway was? Kind of just
That's Cherry
north,
Ridge.
yeah,
That's
north,
Cherry Ridge.
east of there, yeah, there's like nothing there.
So I think we'd need to just say the area north.
West of Cherry, I'm looking for your direction.
North of Cherry Park and 257th.
So just north of Cherry Park and 257.
Yeah, because if you get closer to Cherry Park, you're closer to the park.
Or Cherry, yeah, Cherry Ridge.
Mhm.
Because there's two Cherry Parks. There's
North of
Park
Cherry
North.
Park and 257.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And this is kind of the same thing, the area northwest of Cherry Park and 257th. I thought we had higher percentage. I could be wrong.
I don't know, it
High.
would be high.
Yeah.
So it'd be the area, on this one, should read the area north
Of
of
Cherry Park
Mm-hmm.
at 257.
Right.
Okay. Okay, on to 38. And I think this is really good, adding some things to some of the smaller parks, by the way. Might really help those get utilized. Okay. Okay, and then I get to 40. And trail connections. I think everybody's got an opinion about those.
Not saying.
I think, yeah, I think that was, one of the other comments I made was just basically continue to work with agencies, yeah, under, with whether it's law enforcement or crime prevention, volunteer service, whatever it is, just to help with trail safety. And I think one of the comments that somebody else made too is even just park safety in general. A lot of times with Imagination Station area being somewhat of a hotspot, my understanding too, by the high
Right next to the
school.
high school.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think just implementing that kind of gives us some flexibility moving forward in the future.
Making sure that it's safe.
Right.
Yeah,
No changes for us, right? I mean, it's.
Right.
Correct.
That's
not that I've seen.
Okay.
Commissioner Allen, you okay with that?
Yes,
Okay.
Are you on page 40, Tanny?
I am.
Okay.
Additions. Uh-oh. Hi, Mr. Holton.
Hi, Chair Stevens. I just wanted to circle back to the, sorry, I had my hand raised and so I would have got this in earlier, but the
You didn't have a
discussion of Cherry Ridge and Cherry Park was at the previous meeting. There was concern that Cherry Park is not a place. There is a road called Cherry Park. There are two segments to it in different places. The area identified on the map, as one of the councilors alluded to, is the area around Halsey. So we made the suggestion that that be changed to Cherry Ridge, which accurately reflects the area on the map. If you go north and northwest of Cherry Ridge and west of 257th, that was the area that was indicated on the map. Cherry Ridge is a subdivision and neighborhood at the top of the escarpment. And at that time, the commissioners agreed that that was a clearer representation of what was being described, of describing what was on the map. So I guess I just wanted to point out that the commission didn't think Cherry Park was a good descriptor last time, so it was changed to Cherry Ridge, and sounds like now we're changing it back.
Well, it's a new day. What if we said Cherry Ridge neighborhood?
Or just change it to south of Halsey, if that's the area we're talking about as a reference point.
Pardon me?
Oh, that works.
Cherry Ridge neighborhood?
Travis, does that cover it?
Does that work? No?
I think either, I mean, Cherry Ridge is quite clear what that is. That's a named subdivision. It's a neighborhood. Or the area around Halsey west of 257, I think would be also an accurate descriptor. Maybe not quite as precise, since obviously that would go all the way down to, just adjacent to 257, which I don't think is really what the plan was shooting at. But I think either one of those gets the point across. Cherry Park is, I think, a little bit more nebulous because there is no park called Cherry Park, and there is no, and the road, the Cherry Park Road has two different segments that are not aligned.
Yeah, no, that is true.
I think that's why we're doing the west of 257th, is to point to the other Cherry Park Road that's closer to Cherry Ridge.
So
I guess I would also add that if you just say north of Cherry Park Road, you're including the Cherry Ridge subdivision, which is not part of the area that it was a concern. The area of concern was down around closer to Halsey.
Right, so we
They're
would
two very geographically separated areas, really, because of the hill, the escarpment there.
Steep slope.
So Chair, it makes sense then, I think, to include neighborhood.
Yeah, so then it would be the area northwest of the Cherry Ridge neighborhood and 257th Drive.
That would work great, I think.
Okay, let's
That
try
certainly
that.
would be clear to us as staff, and I think to most others.
It's a rarity for us, but we'll try it. All right. And so moving along with 40. And what I didn't know was when we talked about funding sources.
Chair, are you on 40, the second to last one?
Yeah.
Are you on, excuse me, are you on the Explore? Did we get past Explore?
We passed Explore, yes.
Okay, I thought we did. Okay, so now we're on the, okay, second to last.
Funding. Let me find that. I thought for funding sources, we had talked about including looking at privatization as an option for maintenance.
I thought I remember something.
Yeah. Exploring privatize,
You're talking about contracts with private
contracting,
companies?
yeah, for maintenance. As an option.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I had was that we were not proponent of the utility fee.
Right.
Okay. We didn't like that one, but we kept grants and Uppy and some of those things in there.
Right.
Right. You guys agree with that?
I'm trying to think where you're making the comment. So you're on 40, and we're talking about a number of FTEs, and the comment you want to add is something to the effect of explore or
No, I
consider-
apologize, not there.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
I apologize. 40 led me to something else.
Okay, so
Okay.
this is a new comment that says, it is a new-
Regarding page 54.
Okay. And that's to talk about at least exploring the notion of privatization of
Right.
parks,
Right.
maintenance, parks.
Contractors to assist with that work.
What is the, page 40? Okay.
Page 54.
Page 54, I got that, yep. Explore parks, maintenance, contracting, okay.
And then that's also where the fee schedule was.
Chair Stephenson,
Commissioner Allen.
can you remind me what this F3 is in context?
Yeah, which is?
Well, if you read F3, it's more of a statement, but I take it if there's more context in the increased paperwork you have there, that maybe it is a direction.
F3?
Yeah, it's at the bottom of the page of changes. Page 2 of 2. So you've got 40 and then
F3
you've
would
got
be
F3.
exploring grants. So that's along the line of,
To be open to exploring grants?
yeah,
Okay,
which is a really good source of funding for us. We've kind of proven that already. You guys did a heck of a job with that this last year. For the trail,
Oh,
Big time.
yeah,
yes.
that helps a lot. And we're just talking about the different types of grants that we'd be looking at.
right.
And I think we added businesses because more corporates are doing grants, right?
That is correct.
For stuff within the city, possibly Amazon or FedEx or somebody.
Yeah, and in a master plan, it's a reasonable thing to ask them to be partners. So it's.
Yeah. And they seem more willing to do that these days too. Especially if we're putting a bench out there or something. Okay, anything else? No?
Thank you. Yeah, we'll take these comments and John and I will bring them to Parks Advisory Committee on the 18th.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
all right. And staff communications.
Well,
Make him start.
I can start.
Make him start.
Well, this would be his last one anyway, so.
We remain busy. If you haven't heard, Melissa left us. She found another job in a private firm, and we're excited about that opportunity for her. We continue to focus on Alex is working on a range of smaller projects, but we also, continue to focus on The parks is one of the major projects. We've started some of the conversations internally with the preferred consulting team for the Confluent site. So it's very early in that, but we had sort of a meet and greet, and we're thinking about our next steps. It'd probably be a little bit premature for me to volunteer what all those things are, but we just tried to get together in a room and sort of be introduced to their team. So we met some of the players from Capstone, their development team, as well as their legal team, and we're starting that so we can move into the E&A discussion and eventually developer, there's 2 words, I can't remember the other D, but the developer agreement somewhere down the road. So we'll see. It's very early that those conversations have started. Cool. Otherwise, can't really think of anything. Can you think of anything?
Yeah, I guess on my little announcement.
Oh, okay.
I suppose. It has been a great time working with you all. I am going to be leaving the city. I've accepted a position with the city of Portland in the Bureau of Development Services, doing land division planning work. It's been almost 2 years here at the city, and it's been great meeting everybody on the commission. It's been a pleasure to work with you all through all of our wonderful late night meetings, and it's been a great experience learning Oregon land use planning, moving here from out of state. So it's been a great time. So thank you all.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
I don't know if it's a great time learning Oregon land use planning, but it's a very nice way to put
Let's
it.
put it this way, it's a roller coaster here.
Yes, it is.
So,
He will be missed. He's very good at what he does.
yes, he is. And so we have no planners
That is
now.
true.
Oh, so that
Will we
means
be
you,
pulling Marley in to backfill?
Do not know.
Okay.
Still stuff being worked out with conversations. Just learned of Alex's leaving pretty recent, so it's pretty fresh. Will be, I don't want to, Marley has been a real resource on the Confluent site. She'll continue with that, and the other things are kind of TBD, but I'm talking to the city manager about that.
About how to get that, things done.
yeah,
I just want to tag on to something that you said, Ms. Berniker, is regarding the Confluence being a TCAB member as well. Very impressive process. The way it was conducted, just the people involved, just very impressive. And I thought that Troutdale really put their best foot forward.
Yeah, I've been on a handful of processes like this, and this one was very dialed in terms of working with a public body and then going through a process and getting somebody on board. So appreciate it.
That was very nicely done, so thank you. All you got?
That's all I got. That's enough.
You're running out of announcements, I guess you get
Yeah.
down there. Well, it keeps your labor cost down, I guess.
There you go.
Mr. Holton, did you have anything else?
No, nothing for me. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for being with us this evening.
Thank you, Travis.
Counselor Glanz? How you doing?
It was fun to get to actually testify. Talk at a meeting and not have to, stay hidden.
You miss us, don't you?
I do.
All right, thank you for being here. Thank you for testifying. Commissioner Allen?
Well, sad to see Alex go, but it is opportunity, so congratulations.
Thank you.
And yeah, I was also sad about Marv. That's a deep hit. Yeah, it'll be tough.
Commissioner?
I will just echo what Chair Stephenson mentioned, like you guys on staff just knock it out of the park consistently, and I'm really excited for your next opportunity. I know you're gonna kill it, and they're lucky to have you. You know, I feel like we get so many good folks in here, and there's big shoes to fill, but I really appreciate everything you've done for us so far, so thank you. Good luck.
Me as well. I mean, it's been, I've been through a lot of planners in my tenure here, and you're one of the best.
Thank you.
And we appreciate all the hard work you do. Your stuff was easy to read. It wasn't like I had to like fall asleep and then read it again. So it was simplified and very easy to read and make a decision on with all the facts, so. And they are getting a great person in Portland.
I was gonna say, I will just echo that, and I think your attention to detail is phenomenal. Your stuff is very detailed, very accurate. And I think that's going to pay dividends for you going forward, and I certainly know that it's gonna be something that we're probably gonna miss at some point. And you've done a lot of really tough applications too. So they probably looked at some of those and like, we need that guy, he can do anything. You know? But you will definitely be missed. I'm sure you could backfill with these guys for a while and to remember something. But thank you for all your work and dedication to the city.
Oh, thank you.
And I just want to, you know, echo some of what's been said. You know, it's like you're leaving, and good job.
Thank you.
And there's nothing wrong with going to a bigger place that's closer to home. It just kind of works out that way sometimes. But Marv will definitely be missed by all of us. He had some big shoes.
He was a very quiet man, but when he spoke.
He spoke.
He spoke.
Yeah, his contributions to the city are many, and we're really going to miss him. And this was a shock. Nobody really saw this coming. But as I get more information, I'll pass that on to you guys.
Please.
Okay. I don't think I have anything else. I just want to thank everybody for their time and getting all this stuff done. And I feel sorry for you, man. I'm sorry.
Get through it.
Yeah.
You got a paddle? It's the rain, you're gonna need it.
But we'll be doing some, I don't know if we have any hearings coming up, but we do have some other code amendments that we got to get done. And so we're working on some of that stuff going forward and get those things in the hopper and get those done. So that'll be our next mission.
Sure.
And thank you for doing double duty too.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure.
We appreciate it because you give us an insight on that, you know, because sometimes we don't always get that information.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it definitely comes into play. I mean, just even being able to talk to the gentleman earlier about kind of what's on the horizon and whatnot too, so.
Yeah.
It's really helpful to have people cross,
For sure.
you know,
Agreed.
is that right?
Yes.
All right, so if there isn't anything else, I'll take a motion to adjourn for this evening.
I move that we adjourn the the meeting, planning commission meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Good evening.